There is nothing healthy or positive about competitions. Beethoven would be rolling in his grave if he knew his music was being used in contests. And music should not be used to pit musicians against one another. Do you agree with these statements? These are some of the things. Welcome to the Virtual Concert Hall's live show. Many of you know that one of the biggest international music competitions happening right now is the Chopin International Piano Competition. And there's a lot of discussion in the chat rooms and even within the contestants about the topic of competitions. Are they useful for musicians? Does this kind of competing corrupt our art? And so it's very interesting, and we want to actually, as Sound and Specific Competition, tackle these and actually have a conversation about these topics. You know, especially because we are unique in that we put everybody on the virtual stage. We have no time limits for any of the semi-final and final rounds, no repertoire restrictions either, and you get immediate feedback from the jury. So we want to actually put ourselves in the conversation and get kick-started and ask these questions. We want to enter the conversation and address this head on. And so today, I'll be playing the advocate, actually, for abolishing competitions by arguing the affirmative of the statement that you'll see, that there is nothing positive or healthy about competitions. And I'm going to invite Dr. Anna Ospinskaya, the co-founder of Virtual Concert Halls and Sound and Specific Competition, to argue for the negative, that there is something healthy, that there is something positive about competitions. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Anna on.
Hi everyone. Hi Chris.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me. I love the question.
Well, it actually derived from a Facebook comment we got from one of our, I'm just going to call him our fans. And and he actually posted something about this in a comment. And I thought it's a very good way to kickstart a discussion, because it's actually in a lot of these chat rooms in the Chopin competition, you'll see a lot of this happening. You'll see people saying, oh, Chopin would be so disappointed that you see his music being used for these contests. And, you know, let's have a chat about it, right?
As musicians who had gone through the competitions and even established our own, I think we need to tackle this question. I'm grateful that you brought it up.
Thank you. Well, so how this is going to work for all those tuning in is I'm going to give 2 points, an opening statement, and then I'm going to invite Dr. Anna to give her response and also her points. And for those joining, I'm going to be arguing that there is nothing healthy or positive about competitions. And Dr. Anna will be arguing the negative, right? So without further ado,
if I can.
yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to come up with amazing things to say. So without further ado, let me begin. There is nothing healthy or positive about competitions. Lang Lang and Yuzhou Wang's teacher Gary Grafman, on accepting them into his studio at Curtis, told them explicitly not to do any competitions. That was his one condition on being his student. His belief, and I am paraphrasing here, is that they didn't need to. A competition forces one to hone a set of pieces for a period of a long time, years, in order to get them to a point where they're so refined that are acceptable for the competitions. And his point is that using this time to perfect these pieces, you're not learning new repertoire. You're not playing with other people, and the whole point of competitions is to meet conductors, to meet other musicians, to meet management and record labels. And Gary Grafman says, I can introduce them to you myself, right? And so what happens in competitions is that competitors constantly recycle old repertoire for competitions, and it makes sense. You want to perfect what you play best, so that when you're on stage and competing against all these other people who are also perfecting what they play best, you want to shine through. But what happens is the other repertoire that you learn starts to dwindle. I myself felt the effects of this when I had to turn down some chamber music collaborations to concentrate on the repertoire I'm playing for competitions. Or I had to say, oh, sorry, maybe in a few months' time. I had to delay that. And even if you win, let's say you win a competition, you get engagements with conductors, concert series, orchestras, and record labels. You might not actually have a wide range of repertoire that they may need. Right, and a lot of these artists out there performing have a massive amount of repertoire, so that conductors can choose from a list of concerti, etc. And I want to use the example of an Icelandic pianist, Vikunga Olafsson, who didn't compete in any major competitions, but he formed his own record label. He made his own music festival, and because of his incredible and stellar playing, he was able to make himself heard. And he now is engaged in some of the most prestigious music festivals. He is signed with Deutsche Grammophon and releasing albums consistently, and has a spot in the program of many concert halls. So that's my first point, that there is nothing positive about competitions. And next, to talk about something healthy, that there is nothing healthy about these competitions either. Competitors work really hard to even perfect a perfect video recording, only to be sometimes and more often than not rejected from entry with no feedback. And competitors who finally gain entry have to use their own money to travel, to find room and board, to feed themselves, and often scramble to find practice rooms to compete, to practice in. And all these costs are often to no avail when they're not accepted into the second or semi-final or final rounds. Mentally, this is really unhealthy and discouraging for artists. Sometimes they don't get much constructive or encouraging feedback from the jury members, and you can be left feeling resentful about the whole competition process. And more importantly, you may feel like you're not worthy as a musician, that you have nothing to say, or your technique is not good enough, or you didn't choose the right pieces for this competition. And a lot of the time, the musician feels that they're not good enough, and worse, that they're not enough at all, like as a musician themselves. And the reality is that these things take time to develop. You need to play a lot of concerts to find out what you play best and what you feel comfortable with. And musicians need to find their strengths and weaknesses and the unique playing style, their personality, and time. It takes time to acquire the historical knowledge and the performance practice to play these appropriate styles well and with a good understanding. And some pieces do take that amount of time. Competitions these days value young and flashy. They value what they can market, and they don't take into account the longevity of a musician's life. And most of the musicians we love and adore, Arthur Rubinstein or Vladimir Horowitz, just to name one or two, these are we love them for what they've done in their whole breadth of their career, and we love that they've developed and matured. And some of their last concerts are some of the most incredible, deep, and moving performances. Where's the competition there? So I want to conclude by saying that, and this may sound extreme, that there is nothing positive or healthy about competitions. That, unless you're being nurtured, unless you're have a strong support network, a lot of the time this can be very detrimental for a musician. So with that said, I'm going to leave to Dr. Anna now to argue for the negative, that there is something healthy and positive about competitions.
Chris, there was just such a well-articulated point, and you touched on so many aspects of it. I really appreciate you bringing it up in such a concise and clear format. And I completely agree. There's nothing healthy or positive in the competition. Now let's think of what a competition is. Competition is not a person. Competition is an event. Right? So I think what creates this toxic environment in the competition is a mindset of people who participate in the event. And we can change that. And a lot of people did. So I'm going to throw it back to you. And I'll give you a little bit of time while I'm talking to form your answer. Is there something, list 3 things which are positive and healthy about Coca-Cola. Okay? And I want to challenge my audience too. Please, in the comments, list 3 things which are positive and healthy about Coca-Cola. And I'm going to tell you a story. Because my personal answer, there's absolutely nothing. It's caffeine, it's sugar, it's, it's all those things which are basically toxic for our bodies. Now here is a story, my own personal story, in which I praise Coca-Cola for saving me from a lot of trouble and potentially even playing a life-saving tool in one event. We talked already about my trekking habit and my trekking hobby. So on one of the treks, me and my partner on the trek arrived in the refuge. And for those who don't know what refuge is, it's a small hut glued to the side of the cliffs and mountains, and you arrive there completely exhausted. It's really challenging terrain, and it's just a small place where you can get some food or cook some food. So they provide you basic opportunity to just settle and pitch your tent. So we arrived in there late, exhausted, in a windy, cold conditions. Was not really comfortable to continue walking around. In that particular place, which is in Corsica, there is a strong recommendation for everyone who treks those terrains to only drink the water from marked sources, which are marked drinking water. Okay, those sources sometimes are not very conveniently located, and at that particular refuge, one had to climb over rocks another 100 yards down to just get that water and climb it back. Now, when you did your trek for 10 hours already, and all you want is to get some food, get some drink, and just sleep. You don't want to make that trek. So, long story short, me and my trekking partner made opposite choices. There was a source of water in the hut, and it was really dark. There's no electricity in there, of course, not on a cliff. And the source of that water in the dark, you couldn't see really the signs, and the signs are in French, and we're not fluent with French, so it was kind of confusing. So most of the huts do have clean drinking water source in the hut. This one, I couldn't read the sign, and she couldn't. So we both couldn't read the sign. So she said, you know what, we've been to 7 refuges by now, and everyone had drinking water in that source in the hut. I'm not going another 100 yards down and back up. I'm just going to drink this water. And said, well, it's not clearly marked. I know we can assume that it's clean and drinking, but we don't know it for sure. I don't understand the sign. Even with a little flashlight, it's the conditions were against us. Let's put it this way. And there were, options. And I said, okay, I'm just going to put another layer and just walk down there and get the drinking water from there. And she said, well, I'm not going with you. Go. On my way out of the hut, I saw a little sign which said you can purchase a bottle of Coca-Cola from the hut manager for $10. Now, mind you, where I am right now, you can purchase a 2-liter Coca-Cola for under $1. Okay? Or was it even 10 euros? I don't know. Don't remember. But it was really expensive. Well, I understand they have to bring a helicopter. And it's a small bottle. And so I stopped in there and I was weighing my options. And I was thinking about it. Is my trip down there worth $10 of my energy or not? Or should I just trust that the water in the hut is going to be drinking water or not? So lots of options. Just like when you enter a competition, you have lots of things to think about, right? So, and I made a decision, okay, this time I'm just going to buy the Coca-Cola bottle. And that's it. And I did. So my trekking partner drank from the source, which was pretty predictable to be reliable, right? And I didn't exhaust myself going down and up for the clean water, which was marked down there, and climbing in the dark through all those rocks. So I didn't put myself in danger of being exhausted in the dangerous conditions. And I spent the money on a ridiculous amount of money on that one bottle of Coca-Cola. Fast forward next morning, my trekking partner was plastered with diarrhea. We couldn't even continue to go. And I was completely healthy. Now, is there something healthy about Coca-Cola? Absolutely nothing. However, the way you can use something completely unhealthy, completely unpositive, is where Our choice makes the difference. Okay, now back to the competitions. It's always easy in life to find things working against us, the circumstances, the conditions, other people's rules, regulations, a lot. If one looks at what prevents us from doing something, one finds a zillion things. And basically, we corner ourselves against the wall. There's nothing we can do about it because we can't change the circumstances. But if we look at the competition, any competition, with the perspective of a tool, we can change how that competition will work for us instead of against us. And I'm going to go point by point of what you brought up. Repertoire. Recycling the repertoire. Are there solutions to that? There are individual solutions, and Gary Graffman mentions that, right? Every artist can find a temporary incremental solution to the repertoire problem, right? We can recycle our repertoire. We can re-record, send the same recording to different competitions, right? We don't need to turn out other opportunities which provide us with growth. For instance, chamber music is an extraordinary opportunity to grow as a musician because you collaborate, you learn from each other, and you create something other than your own solo. Then you take those new skills and you apply to your solo performance. Your solo performance gets enriched by chamber music experience, and instead of playing one playing, two playing, you see a lot more polyphonic content in pieces where you didn't see it. Okay, great, immerse in that. There are plenty of chamber music competitions. While you're working on your chamber music, why not record it? Why not send it out? That's just one example. Next example, spend time learning what the competition does and what it provides to you. Yeah, all competitions, pitch musicians against each other and choose the best. Sure, that's not good. But who are you going to meet in the process? Who are you going to make connections with? What is the level of other contestants? Look at the previous years of that competition. Look at what these people had done after the competition. Expand your circles. Use the competition as a fair to expand your connections, to expand your view. Can you do that? Sure. But it's not up to the competition to provide. It's up to you to use what the competition can offer in a positive and healthy way for yourself. And some competitions don't have a lot to offer, but maybe they offer something unique. Maybe they don't provide you with a lot of chamber music opportunities. If you're looking for chamber music opportunities, look elsewhere. But maybe that particular competition provides you with an opportunity to win a lot of money. Make sure you look at the array of the prizes. Are you competing for one prize? Are you competing for many different prizes? I'll tell you one of my personal stories. One of my wins was actually in a competition which since then closed. It was a pretty known competition in its time, but it doesn't exist anymore. It was Bach competition created by the fund which was started by Res Excelentes. Most people don't even know that competition anymore. But that competition was focused on Bach's music only. At that time, I was very interested in Bach's music and performing Bach's music. And I was learning the entire World Tempo Clavier, the Goldberg variations, and all, a lot of Bach's music. Other competitions didn't really invite that repertoire in such a huge amount, right? But that particular competition did. So I went to that competition, I won second place in there, and in the process, I met like-minded people who were really interested in Bach's legacy, who knew a lot about Bach, which I didn't know, information, his life. So I was able to make connection with like-minded people, and those connections stayed with me for the entire life. And further down, you were talking about long-term. You need to plan long-term. Long-term, these people became my collaborators in many future projects, multitude. when you're planning long term and setting your goals beyond winning this one particular competition, then your entire attitude towards people involved and towards the events which are happening in there changes. Instead of hoping for that one lucky moment when someone else will discover you and make you the star, that's unrealistic, right? Instead of coming into the competition with that attitude, you come into competition as the owner of your own future. And you approach people and events with that attitude, and you offer your value to those people who are involved, and you seek them to share their value with you and form life-lasting collaborations for future projects which you don't even know what they are. We need to be open-minded that the life of a musician is long, and that process requires us to constantly keep acquiring more and more opportunities. Opportunities are not objects. Opportunities are done and created by people. So people are the center of it. If we come to competition with the attitude that's a fair, where people are congregating and they all congregating with a like-minded purpose, which is to share themselves, to find others who are willing to share, to form collaborations, and to create something which has not been done before, which only I, as a unique musician, can create. That attitude changes every step of the way which we do in the process. It changes our approach to choosing the competitions which are suitable for us at the moment. Today, well, not today, in 1991, when I went to the Bach competition, that particular competition suited my development stage at that time perfectly. So I went and won. And it was the most fruitful event for me. One of the most of them. And so the choice of the competition needs to suit me as an artist in the time when I'm making that choice. And tomorrow I'm going to choose the other one. Look at what the competition had done. Who are the people who are part of it, who were attracted to that competition, who I'm likely to meet in there? Invest your money wisely. Invest your time wisely. You don't have to win. You go to a different country. You go to this performance. You don't make it second round. But you are in this professional fair with managers, with judges, with other contestants, with their teachers, with their parents, with their collaborators, with their supporters. That's a fantastic source of your base for your future project, for your entire life as an artist.
Wow. So I'm sure you have like plenty of more other fantastic reasons for why we should compete, but I want to center on this point. By the way, I think you win. If we're actually declaring winners or not, I'm certain now that you'll win, because you actually look in a much even bigger, broader perspective than I was nailing on.
Well, what I wanted to nail, if I didn't make that point clear, I want to reiterate that.
Please.
Competition is a tool, and it will be what we make out of it. So that was my point.
I love it. Yeah, and I love like what you said. You are your owner of your own future. That you go in with that you offer your own value, and that you use this opportunity. And I really believe that, because a lot of people lament that the pandemic or this happened, and look, in Sydney we're in lockdown again. But my perspective is always, why can't you make the best of the situation, the circumstance that you're in? Why can't you make the best of it? And sometimes you might be called to, sit at home and learn the Bach's World Tempo Clavier. That if you're in lockdown for 8 weeks, it's a great time to sit down and do something different, or learn something you haven't had the time to do. I was talking to my piano technician. He said, I finally have time to go to my workshop and work on the projects I've never had time to do otherwise. So I love this idea of using the opportunity, using the circumstance, and being the owner of your destiny and your fate and what you do. And in that way, you don't feel like you're being controlled. You don't feel like you're at the whim of the world. You feel like you have a place and you're in control.
Exactly. And what you mentioned about Gary Graffman, he was absolutely right. If you happen to make it to Curtis and be accepted to Gary Graffman's studio, maybe for that particular person, competing is not necessary. He was absolutely right, because Gary Graffman had already acquired wide possibilities and connections with other people who he could recommend his students to. But not everyone is in Curtis. So we're talking about vast majority of young musicians who are not in Curtis. Curtis only accepts maybe one pianist, and not even every other year.
Yeah.
So you can, now again, if you want to be in Gary Graffman's studio, you need to compete for that studio. So you're again in the square one, choosing the competitions, choose them wisely.
Yeah. You still have to compete. But it's about the perspective of what you're doing. If you're thinking it's always a competition that I'm against these people, it's me against the world, then I don't think you're going to be very happy. But if you feel everything is an opportunity to shine, and if it doesn't work out, you try something different, and if it works out, you make the most of that as well.
Chris, I'm going to challenge you. That doesn't work out. That's a very passive mindset to me. What is that supposed to work out? If we change our mindset to we can make things work for us the way we want, as opposed to expecting the world to revolve around us, for some magic magician manager to pick us up and just do everything for us, or Gary Graffman just taking us and introducing us to his vast contacts. He was not given those contacts. Just learn from your previous generation and how people did that. Gary Graffman worked really hard on his art, on his pedagogy, on making contacts, on forming lasting relationships, expecting that this can be just packaged and given to you as a Christmas present is a very passive approach, which disables a lot of musicians from being successful and developing as artists, musicians, and developing their career. I think the approach needs to be, we all need to walk that path, just like famous musicians did before. They worked on making their career, and they understood that it's all about people. They respected people who are making things happen, not automatic. We're just so immersed in this world where you push the button and the screen changes. We communicate with machines a lot, and we lament that we can't communicate with people. But a lot of times we just forget that people need to be communicated with the respect that they may want to do something or they may not want to do something. So approaching those fairs where musicians congregate and managers congregate with the respect that these are people who make things happen. And I'm too. I'm a person who makes things happen. I'm a person who learns the new repertoire. I'm the person who can step on stage and bring something unique with it. So I can make this happen, but I can make other things happen too. I can form friendships. And friendships and those collaborations are the juice, the foundation, and the engine behind successful careers.
Absolutely. Yeah, people all there are people who kind of look down upon, you're just out to network or make relationships, and or you're just out to network basically. And I think that's part of it. Isn't that important? Like, isn't that part of what we do? And isn't that
it's a big part of what
yeah, and I think it's every part of it is important, and it all makes up something that you build on your own. And I think that's what we do here at Sound Spirits of Competition, is that we encourage people to actually build their own careers and say, look, yeah, I could rely on so-and-so to help me out, but no, I have to be the one who shows that I can do it. And if there's an opportunity, I'll take it and make the most of it. And if there's other things other people can talk to, like I really admire people who stay to the end of an event, and they help clean up or they help put things together, because these are people who are committed. Like if you go to a conference or go to a music camp and you're there to help, you're there to talk to people, you're there to tidy up and help the camp, then they're gonna really like you, and then you feel like you're part of something, and they'll feel like you're part of them too.
Exactly, because you're not acting like a drama queen or a celebrity. You're acting like a human being who respects other human beings, and I can't agree more. And to the point, you're here only to network. This is black and white thinking, which I understand a lot of people exercise that kind of thinking, and maybe it's applicable someplace, but it's not very well applicable to a musician's career. Black and white. If you go to the competition, you're only to network. That's absurd. You've prepared your repertoire. You worked hard towards this. Let's say you go to Chopin competition. You prepared 3 hours worth of repertoire. who can even say you're only to network. You're there
No.
to present and to give your art to others, to share, to find recognition, to find affirmation, and to find critique. So
Yeah.
let's be honest with ourselves. What are we there for? We're there for acknowledgement of our talents and hard work and dedication, and we're there for our career because we want to be enabled to continue to give what we give best, our music.
I love it. Thank you. Well, I mean, for everybody watch, this ends the debate section about tonight. This is just so incredible to actually hear you talk in long form about what you believe in. So, no, thank you so much. This is, I've learned a lot listening to you.
Thank you, Chris, for asking that question. That was a really good one.
I knew you'd be great. That's why I decided to ask it. And so let's move on to the final segment. So for everyone who's watching, we this time and this sort of way of format of broadcast, we're going to move on to something next, something different starting next week, a different time, where we'll introduce guests, we might talk about different things, and part of our team from the back end is also coming to talk about the tech, and there'll be just changes. And so we formed a really nice trio, Dr. Anna, myself, and our director and producer, Ante, who I'm going to introduce now. And I think for a way to wrap up and just something fun for us to do on Friday night for me and Friday for the rest of the world, let's do this artistic programming game again. So without further ado, Ante, I'm going to introduce you and put you onto stage. Welcome.
Hi guys.
Hi, Ante.
Hello.
Welcome.
This
Hi
is our
again. Nice
incredible
to see you again.
director and producer, and you're just so amazing to work with.
Composer and a pianist.
Thank you, Chris.
Let's not forget.
Yes, composer,
Yeah,
pianist.
Pianist also.
Yes, from Croatia. So just very.
Yeah, and just to quickly reset the stage, I'm currently in Washington, D.C. suburb in Vienna, Virginia, and Chris, you are in
Chris is in
Australia.
Sydney,
And,
Australia. That's right. Yes.
Ante is in Croatia, so we basically have a hug over the globe,
All
and
over
that's
the world.
very inspiring for me.
It's really great, and I'm very grateful to that this whole platform, the StreamYard, is able to handle this. It's so smooth. We can have a conversation and something very meaningful, like we just
Chris,
did
the platform
so well.
cannot handle it. I'm sorry. I keep arguing with you. But you set the stage for that. You said it's a debate, right? I don't believe any platform can handle anything as smoothly as our director, Ante, can. It's done by his magic hands.
Thank you, Anna.
Absolutely. So, what we're going to do is we're going to show at various artistic awards. So, at the Sound and Specific competition, we have artistic awards that semi-finalists and finalists can nominate themselves for. For example, there's Profound, there's Ambassador, and these are all this is the brainchild of another co-founder, Fyodor Ospensky, and so this is just an incredible chance to see what you can do and see if you can find a unique artistic voice in it. So, our first one is Dr. Anna. You're going to choose an artistic award for Ante, and he will have to come up with a program depending on what you choose.
You
Okay,
put
so
me on
this
the
is as if-
spot.
This is
Let's
as if
go.
Ante is competing. This is as if Ante is in the competition, and whatever you choose, he'll have to come up with a program on what he would play.
I love it. Chris, you give us no time to prepare the choices. You give us no time to prepare the repertoire. That's really good. Now, I think that's a very useful skill. What if I come up to the piano and it doesn't have a C-sharp key or something?
Can't play
I
certain
need
pieces
to,
of music.
yeah, I need to be able to change my program for that piece, right? Or I come with, up there and someone double booked, and we have a violinist who is expecting to perform, so I have to switch from playing solo to chamber music. This is pretty cool. I love
Things
it.
happen. You have to improvise, I guess.
Yeah, you have to be able to function when you put in the spot. Okay, Ante, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's
No,
see.
you can't be because you don't know what to be ready for.
But I'm always ready.
Okay, Ambassador.
Ambassador. Okay.
Music
let me
ambassador,
show it.
yeah.
Is this one?
Mm-hmm.
I think you
Very
chose
cool.
maybe the only one which I wouldn't choose. But I'll try my best. Yeah, because I'm really not for public speaking, and I always like just to play and just to speak through my music. But
Well, the question
if
then
I-
is about the repertoire.
Yeah. But
What
I,
repertoire
I,
you would
I
choose?
can still talk about it, and if I need to choose this one, Ambassador, I think I would go with Shostakovich. because I think he really had an interesting and hard life, and I would play maybe some of his preludes and fugues, and I would talk about it. I would talk about his circumstances, you know, in Soviet Union, and how it was very hard to live, and his genius, you know.
That's amazing.
I think that's
great.
it, yeah.
That's brilliant.
But that's the last one I would
That's-
choose, ambassador. I wouldn't go with ambassador.
But Ante, your answer is so impressive because yes, you're absolutely right. Dmitri Shostakovich was an ambassador of music and
Yeah.
working against tidal waves of social discord and challenges. And he was a music ambassador in many senses than one. So yeah, I would like to tell anyone who is watching right now, when you're choosing the artistic awards, if you want to be nominated for one, think of it as you don't have to be 100% ambassador of music yourself. You can invite previous people who had done the work before you to support your idea. This is brilliant. Thank you.
Very good, Ante. Well,
Okay,
since you did
now
such a
I
good
get the
job,
turn.
I'm going to reward you. I'm going to reward you by having you choose the next artistic award card for me. Now I'm getting
Ooh.
nervous.
Be hard on
Let's see,
Chris.
let's see.
Be hard
He's
on me.
quick and
Wow.
brilliant. Choose something hard.
Chris, what would you
I
do
don't
with
know
this
how
one?
well I'll perform. Profound. Oh,
Yeah.
I love this. Absolutely love this. Profound is something I'm quite close to because I think that's the kind of music that I'm really drawn to. And for Profound, I think I definitely will program Beethoven's Opus 111 as one of his.
Mhm.
Actually, in fact, I think I'll do one of the last works of various composers. So and the reason I want to do that, for example, I think Scriabin's last piano sonatas are just incredible, just in terms of color, the range, and the what he explores, and it's this the idea of ecstasy, and it's just so incredible. So I would program Beethoven Opus 111, and then play either the 9th or the 10th Scriabin sonata, and I also really like Prokofiev's 9th sonata too, which is not played that often, but it's at a period of his life where
I love that one.
it's beautiful, and it's nothing to do with war so much, but there's something about things ending, the finality, which I find very profound. I would love to play like those three composers. I'm particularly drawn to. Of course, like Brahms's final works are also extremely profound, but they kind of center more on kind of the idea of death encroaching. Whereas I find like Beethoven, Scriabin, and Prokofiev. Those are the ones I can really think of at the top of my head right now. But they aim towards the transcendent. Like, what kind of mountain can I climb now? And what is up there? And not to focus too much on death and the fatality of it, but to lift yourself up into the heavens. So I would choose those three.
Wow, great choice, Chris. But I think
You like it?
It will be quite difficult to practice all those pieces at once.
Yeah, and to talk about that too, like it's and I'm nowhere close to that age or that kind of period of my life, but it's very interesting to explore. So thank you. What do you think, Dr. Anna? What would you play?
That's amazing, and I agree with the choice of the repertoire. If I were the one to choose that repertoire for myself. However, there's one point in there which you chose late works of all three composers, which definitely are some of the most profound works ever written for piano. However, what about younger people? I believe younger musicians who may not be capable yet of performing those three works still have profound feelings and may develop and show profound understanding of other works. So I want to just show a different side of approach to that repertoire. The profound performance of a piece can be a profound performance of not extremely profound piece. In the profound performance, we just look way deeper into the piece and bring in the context of how it was created, why it was created, and apply that to our interpretation. So you can go just like, Ante did the same thing. You can invite a composer to support your choice of the artistic
You
category.
mean just choose one composer for the whole program? Maybe.
Well, or three composers. You can do three, like Chris said, 3 pieces, late pieces from 3 greatest composers, or 5 or 1. There's no limit of the repertoire choice or time limit. So you're completely free to do that. Or you can take a different approach and rejuvenate maybe a well-known piece. And I'm going to throw out a controversial idea. You can take potentially a piece which is considered maybe by most as a flashy piece, and find a profound meaning in that. And I'm going to throw one, Liszt Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2. And I'm going to challenge my viewers right now by asking you, can you find profound meaning in that piece? And if so, can you deliver it to your audience and really draw attention to that side of Liszt writing? It's very
That's
easy to
great,
remember.
because we don't really relate that to. Yeah, we don't
Exactly.
relate the two, but there is a lot of profanity in Liszt's
The
writing.
opening of it, right?
I think you can, if you feel strongly about it, if you have an emotional connection to it.
Absolutely.
then you can do
Absolutely.
it.
So there are different approaches which can be found for this particular. I'm really fond of the profound category. I think it has a lot of potential of variety of approaches. Okay,
Yeah.
now your turn, Chris, to put me on the hot seat.
Because Ante did such a good job, I'm going to have him choose a
I can do it
award
again.
for you. For you
Oh!
now. Yes, Dr. Anna.
I'm
So
scared.
This is the final round, and Dr. Anna, you get to have, Ante, you choose one for Dr. Anna.
Okay, let's see. What would you do with this one?
Program.
Program.
That is such a wealth of opportunity. So let me just read out what it states on the front. Prepare a collection of music with a message and express yourself through dedicating to a theme. So this is a key word in the description in there. Dedicate yourself to a theme. Pick a theme which speaks to you or to me. I'm going to pick one. And then show a story which tells that theme from different sides or through different... Okay, let's talk about what repertoire can be chosen for that. For example, contestants in the Sound Espressivo competition range in age from 5, or last year did, from 5 to 76. It's a big span of years. And musicians at 5 years old and at 76 are very different musicians, obviously. Can anyone in that scope of ages tackle program? Absolutely. So I'm going to give 2 examples of program choice for someone who is very young and just starting to craft their ability to play piano, because I'm a pianist, so it can be a different instrument, of course, and someone who already a master of the skill. Okay, so if I were as a teacher choosing a program, I would ask first of all my student, and I would watch my student. What are they interested in? Are they interested in small pieces, bigger pieces? What their interests are? I would have a conversation with the student about that. And let's say, as an example, currently, it's a real example. Currently, I have an 8-year-old student who is a very advanced pianist. She can play Mozart concerto. She can play easy Beethoven sonata. She can play this easier Chopin etude. She's very advanced. But her love and her heart is in very small miniature Burgmüller pieces. Those are basically beginner pieces. So a lot of teachers use those pieces just to introduce the student to various techniques, and they're cute pieces. So if she decides to enter this competition, I'm going to offer her to create a program out of little pieces for little kids, because that's what she loves the most. Not because it's easy, but because she finds real joy in simplicity of those pieces, and she plays them in a very sophisticated way.
I love that. I love that. That is so cute. I would
I didn't
actually, can you
expect
enter
that.
her, please? I want to hear
I
her
can't
play.
enter her. She has to make her own decision. That's my philosophy in my teaching. I can
Very
offer
good.
her if she's interested, and I
Yeah.
can explain to her what the opportunities are, but her and her mom would have to make a decision on that.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Program. So if for everyone joining, we're playing a game and Dr. Anna just shared that if her student were to choose this program as an artistic award, what she would play, and I just thought that your answer was delightful. Just thank you for that. So,
Thank you.
But Anna, what would you do
yeah.
personally for this category?
Ah, that's a good one.
That's a very good one. What I would do
Program.
Think of
personally,
something quickly.
if I chose
Yeah.
program, I have my personal project, which I'm not eligible to enter this competition, but if I were, I would enter it with my own personal project. And that project actually is a program. And we did one of the concerts in that project last year. It was a virtual concert, and we did it for the Levin School of Music in their concert series. And the project is to put together parts. We did some arrangements of Wagner, from The Ring, and Howard Shore from The Lord of the Rings. We found that was done by my family,
Combination,
our
yeah.
family trio. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we found that there are a lot of connections between the two composers' approach, between even the way they created themes and arrangements, and even I'll throw in this, and it may be controversial. We felt that if Wagner lived today, he would compose this music for Lord of the Rings. He would be the one composing it, because his approach to opera was very theatrical, and I mean, if he had today's ability to create a film, he would be creating a movie. That was our opinion. People may
I think
disagree.
he would also be the director, not just a composer for movies, you know.
Possibly, but definitely
yeah,
his music
possibly.
was developing in the direction of large, epic
Yeah.
film scores. So,
Yeah.
and then we found actually the connection, the literal connection between Howard Shore's score and his approach and Wagner, because there are references in Howard Shore's score to Wagner, literal references made by Howard Shore. So that was a fantastic discovery, which kind of confirmed our artistic understanding of the
Have you
music.
performed this? Is this
We have.
Is this something? Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna go
So
check it out.
yeah, so
that's amazing.
we performed. It was the first of the series which we want to produce as concerts. So we had we basically made a medley of arrangements for trio from the Ring by
Yeah.
Wagner. So we arranged it for trio, and we made a medley of those segments of his huge scores. And then we did the same with Howard Shore. We made arrangements, and that score, it's more challenging to work with because it's a film score, so it's not as traditional, piano clavier version of opera. But it was really interesting. So we created these two medleys, and we
Really interesting.
put them together for people to see how they correspond with each other.
Amazing.
And how
Do you have
Oh,
it
I wanna
recorded
play.
maybe?
Yes, we do.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
There we
or
go.
something? Yeah, great.
Yeah, we have it recorded, and it is actually available on YouTube. And if I knew about this question, I would
I
have
need to watch
prepared the links
That's
for
the whole
people
point.
to see.
You're not. The whole point was that you weren't prepared, and you came up with a brilliant answer. So
Thank you.
And actually, yeah, you got more than you bargained for, Ante, because you got both what she would ask a student to program
Yeah.
and what she would
Two
program
answers.
herself. So we're gonna end here, and it's kind of first of all, thank you, Dr. Anna, for your incredibly thoughtful responses. Thank you for always being so generous with what you have to offer to everybody.
Chris, thank you for asking amazing questions. The key to good answers is not in the answers. The key is in asking
questions.
really good questions.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Ante, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being incredible in the back end. The show's going to be, we'll still have the three of us sometimes, but the show's going to be morphing and evolving. And so I want to take this time to thank both of you for just being such incredible partners for this time that I've been here so far. We'll be talking to the judges, the people behind the prizes. We'll be allowing them to talk about their work and about themselves a lot more. And occasionally there'll be shows where it will just be us and we'll be talking about different parts of the competition, or we'll do something fun like this, or we could have another debate depending on people who give us comments on Facebook. So do comment below if you have something controversial to say, because it gives us a lot of good material to use. So,
Give us
great.
food for thought, and a lot of times we don't notice what the problems need to be brought to the upfront.
And
For
maybe
sure.
we can also introduce some other members of our team. I will show you here.
Oh, there we go. Hey, this is a new
So
card.
it's
Fantastic.
not just me. We have a lot of people.
Oh,
doing
hey,
this,
I'm in there
and-
too now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So thank you for that. And to end the show, I'm going to give you the 3 uses I would do for Coca-Cola. And this is actually the way, in your way, I'm not actually drinking on its own. Like, I'm not going to just be intoxicated by it, but I'm going to use it for some good. So the first one is actually you can use it as a great marinade for chicken. So you can actually, it's a very good way to kind of tenderize the meat and add sweetness, and of course you can add soy sauce and other spices. So that's way number 1. It's delicious.
I love it.
Coca-Cola
It's delicious.
chicken is delicious. The second
Turkey.
way-
If anyone is struggling with making turkey moist and tasty, Coca-Cola is great marinade for that.
Didn't know about that.
Absolutely. It keeps it
Interesting.
nice and moist. It just tenderizes the meat and you get a nice little sweetness. And of course, you can add the spices, not just Coca-Cola. And the second one, if I'm forced to, I will have a rum and coke. I think that can be quite nice if it's made properly. And the third one is actually a drink that we have in Hong Kong. It's quite popular. And they actually boil the Coke with lemon wedges. And so you get lemon Coke, and it's kind of hot, and sometimes add ginger to it as well. So you get this spicy, gingery lemon Coke, and it's quite a nice drink, and it's actually quite a nice drink. I won't lie, and it's very nice.
Do you
So
like
that's
it
the-
Oh.
better than regular?
Yeah, I like it
Coca-Cola?
better than
Yeah.
regular Coke.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, Chris, you just gave out tremendous value. I'm going to make it today.
Okay, let me know. It's not quite as bubbly, but it's got this. It's something nice there. It's really because Coca-Cola is just a lot
Boil
of spices.
Coca-Cola with lemon slices.
Yeah, I'll send you the recipe.
Yeah, I love it. I want that recipe. You're a tremendous cook.
Oh no, I like cooking. It's fun. So
It is fun. I love cooking too.
oh, it's great. All right, well, everybody, thank you for joining us. This has been quite a long show, but it's been one of my favorite shows we've done so
It was
far.
fun.
And so, without further ado, we'll see you next week and see you along the way. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
See you
everybody.
next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye for
Bye.
now.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Expressiva Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.